Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in. In March 2023 at the Jaguar show in Cosford, I pre-launched the signature halo rear lights for the X-Type saloon, or sedan as it's referred to in the US, and displayed them on my own vehicle. They went on sale in May after about 18 months of development and testing, and they've proven to be quite popular. In fact, so popular that it's taken me over 6 months to actually put a video together on fitting the things, as I've mostly been building them. So in this video we're going to go over some basic differences between the two current variations of rear light, but also demonstrate how to fit the custom rear lights, replacing your own rear light clusters, which is a simple job. And all you need is a Phillips No. 1 screwdriver, a 10mm socket and ratchet, or a 10mm spanner. So the two options are Signature and Signature Plus. The Signature unit that I'm holding in my hand here is actually a Phase 1 unit. The newer ones have a combined turn signal and rear light. And the brake lights on the Signature version are a simple large LED, cob LED, in the center of each halo, whereas the Signature Plus has 3 separate strips within the brake light and fog light system. So you can see on this version 1 you've got those separate reverse and indicator lights in there, and on the upgraded version 2 you've got a shared position. They're still separate units, but they share a position. It keeps it a little bit cleaner. There are no user serviceable parts inside these rear light clusters, however the unit does have 2 of the original bulbs in position. The X-Type CAN bus system is primitive, but it does work to detect bulb fails, and on 2004 or later cars, if that stock tail bulb is not fitted, there will be a DSC gearbox fault. Therefore one is fitted, but it's painted black to prevent light leach, and the same is true for the indicator. If that's not there, you'll get hyperflash reported within the cabin. You can fit a load resistor if you prefer, but the bulb creates less heat and can be user tested and replaced more easily. Obviously there's now more wiring in there, so just be careful when you are hooking the bulb carrier back up to the back of the light unit itself. Make sure to tuck in any wiring that hangs free. The reason for the excess of wiring is to allow you to remove that bulb carrier so that you can change the bulbs when required. Just make sure that it latches into those clips I've just pointed out for you. Now when we do come to fit them, this particular seal around the light is the one that you want to make sure makes a full contact with the body, because that prevents water ingress into the boot itself. So as soon as you're happy both your lights are ready to go, let's go and fit them to the car. It's been said before, and you can tell it's true, the sun always shines in Surrey. So today we're going to pull out my original halo lights and replace them with the signature ones that I was just displaying. First thing we need to do is open the boot. At that point we can see the seal, which will need to be pulled out. Once we pull the seal out, we can pull that back panel off. Once the back panel pulls out, we'll be able to peel away the boot carpet and access the back of the lights. On this side the fitment's not so great at the carpet, so you can actually see inside and actually see the one of the nuts that you're going to need to undo. So that will be a little bit more helpful for you. There it is right there. That's one 10mm nut. And there are 3 of them per light. Using a PH1 screwdriver, you're literally just going to undo the screws on all 6 of those. Hopefully you still have 6. And you'll be able to withdraw the screw in its entirety, which will leave the base that you can simply pull out. You may need to use a flat blade screwdriver, or you can use a trim pry tool to pull the base out if the base itself that screw is seating into doesn't come freely away. Now one of my screw receivers or bases hasn't popped out and I can't seem to actually pry it out, so I'm just going to cheat a little bit by pulling the base of the plate forwards, and that will just free it off. There you go. Put them to one side, keep them safe, you're going to need them, they can break easily, be careful. Either push the boot carpet forwards or pull it out of the car altogether. Release the boot seal. If it's a little bit more stuck than that, give it a bit more of a pull, it'll be fine, and then you'll be able to release the boot plinth itself. you're going to want to keep that towing eye. You never know when you might need that. As an X-Type owner, always make sure you have your towing eye. Having pulled the boot carpet back on the left-hand side of the car, you can now see the light unit itself. Disconnect the plug by pressing down on that wire clip and just pull it out. Again, if you haven't ever removed it, it's going to be a bit of a tight one, so just make sure that you're going to give it a bit of a pull. There are 3 10mm nuts that you can see there. You don't need a deep socket, a shallow socket will work, or at least a standard socket will work. And it's a standard thread, so just undo the nylock nuts to a point where they almost come off, and finish them off, remove them, keep them safe. At this stage there's just one nut holding the entire light unit on, and because you don't want to damage anything in the process, just make sure you've got a hand on the outside of the light to stop it falling out. It shouldn't just fall out, but you never know, so just make sure that you've got it covered. And just give it a little helping push from the center of the bulb holder. Now personally I prefer to refit as I go, because it means that you're less likely to lose the fixings that you've just taken off, so that's precisely what I'm going to do here and refit the new light unit. You don't have to do anything special, simply make sure that at least one nut is on tightly before letting go of the front of the light unit. Don't put too much pressure on there, just enough to hold the light unit in place, and then tighten the nuts. And once they're all tightened, then make sure that you plug the wiring plug back in. Now moving over to the other side of the car. On the right hand side of the boot there is a small trim clip which is recessed. You can either use a trim removal tool or you can get your hand down behind it and pop it out. One of them's the proper Jaguar way, one of them isn't. I'll let you guess. Now that's a colour-coded trim clip, so it's going to be costly to replace or difficult, so just keep it safe. Now to get that boot carpet out you're going to need to remove the boot floor carpet, but I'm using that as a prop for my phone camera here, so we're going to leave it in place and work around it. Always good to know that even after 20 years it's still pretty flexible, that carpet. And when removing the right hand light it's exactly the same process as when you remove the left hand light, so start by unplugging the unit itself. Again, yep, that spring clip releases it for you, and then it's a case of undoing those 10mm nuts times 3. I like to start with the one furthest away, but it's totally up to you. And we can just speed this kind of boring part of the process up a little bit. Again, make sure to press towards the center of the bulb carrier. So go ahead and fit your new light unit and make sure that you've got at least one nut to hand so that you can lock it against the vehicle, stop it from falling forwards. anchored with one nut, simply add the other two just until the nylock really bites down, and then get your ratchet on it. Plug in the wiring harness. At this point in time, everything is in place for you to functionally test the lights before putting the boot carpet and boot plinth back together again. Having refitted the boot carpet on the right hand side of the car with the little colour-coded trim clip, you can turn your attention to refitting the boot plinth. There are some sort of teeth on the upper edge which need to locate to holes on the upper edge of the rear of the chassis, and these plastic rivets, for want of a better phrase, with the screw in them that you originally unscrewed, don't screw back in. You simply press them back in, and they're designed to do that. So refit the base and then push the screw through until it seats. In many instances it will actually carry the screw and not be open to the point that it prevents re-entry into the fixing location. So pop it in, push the screw down, and it's secure. At this point, refit the boot seal. And one thing that I do, which I think would make somebody on the Jaguar or the Coventry assembly line smile a little bit, is just run a screwdriver. It's got to be a Posi or a Phillips screwdriver just through the edge of that seal to make sure that it covers the plinth. It's how it would have been from factory, and it just looks a lot better, looks a lot neater. Plastic trim tool would probably be better. And you can now pull the boot floor carpet forwards and admire your new lights. Just look how beautiful that seal looks that is correctly installed. Obviously, because there's nothing different in the connection between these customized lights and the original lights, this works for an OEM light replacement as well as these custom ones. Hopefully that's been of some help to you guys, either in fitting your signature lights or perhaps if you're just replacing a standard unit. If you're interested in buying a set of these lights, you can obviously get in touch with me. There's contact details at the end here. But otherwise, yeah, enjoy it, and if there's any other guides that you need me to put together, please let me know, and feel free to start the discussions in the comments. Thank you very much.